Back on Get Up, we talked about the LeBron milestone of last night. Hit 50,000 points. Again, every point he scores sets a record. Let's look back at his milestones. May of 2017, he passed Michael Jordan for first place on the all-time playoff scoring list. That one came in the Eastern Conference Finals against Boston. Fast forward 2 years ago, February of 23, LeBron passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar became the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. It was a record that Kareem had held since 1984. And then, of course, finally last night, LeBron coming into the game against the Pelicans, just needing 1 point to get to 50,000. And so he puts that nice round figure up, and he gets it on his very first shot of the night on a three that he got on a feed from Luka Doncic. So here's the mountaintop of NBA scoring with LeBron at the top. He is now nearly 6,000 points clear of Kareem, over 10,000 points beyond Michael Jordan. For more perspective, the next closest active player is what I meant to say, is Kevin Durant, who is just over 35,000 career points. For all the people who are screaming at the television, yes, we are well aware that LeBron went straight to the NBA out of high school, and all the other names you saw on there played in college. Kareem played 3 years of college because freshmen weren't eligible, but spent 4 years in college. Michael spent 3 years in college. We get all of that. Context is not usually perfect when we talk about sports history. That said, it still tells a story. Every single time he does something like this, it adds to a legacy that puts him certainly in the rarest of rarefied.
Yeah, and he's 6,000 clear and still adding to it. It's not like he put his nose past it. And that graphic represented playoffs and regular season.
Right.
And the reason that's interesting and important is because getting to the playoffs and having deep runs year after year after year after year, he's played an extra 2 seasons just in playoff games in his career. And so the thing about him is that the last couple of years he's played well, but I don't truly think he's really believed in the team. Maybe there were windows when he believed. They got to the conference finals 2 years ago. The way he is now playing, he is playing like he believes in this team. And while the milestones are nice and he's happy to have them, what is getting him up every day is the realization that this team could make another deep run. Something that maybe he didn't expect. It sort of came out of the blue. I think he liked the chances of him and Anthony Davis together. I think he loves the chances with him and Luka.
There's something just gnawing at me that also just wants to add for context that there are more playoffs now than there ever were before. He has played more playoff games in some part because there are additional layers of playoffs. So, again, none of these stats are perfect, but LeBron has earned all of the accolades that he's getting and then some. I want to play the soundbite that we mentioned earlier here for you, Monica, because in case anyone didn't see it. Big Perk came on here yesterday, and he made a lot of very cogent, interesting points. And then he went on First Take and may have lost his mind. This is what the big fella said about 40-year-old LeBron.
I would have to argue, and I would have to say right now today, that LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. Here's why I said, the best player in the NBA gets it done on both ends of the floor. LeBron James is getting it done at the age of 40 on both ends of the floor at a high level.
Is that right?
Woo! At the age of 40, LeBron James is getting it done on both ends of the floor at a high level. That is correct. Best in this instance to me is making a statement on the longevity and how long LeBron has been able to do.
No, but is he the best player now? That's what Perk is saying.
Literally, we got the email
last night.
We
know he's the greatest player now.
We got this email last night, and I was like, okay, wait, let me really think. Can I go there? If you had to put them in an imaginary Space Jam one-on-one, whoever you think is the best, I do wonder if all the mileage catches up to LeBron at this point, and so I'm hesitant to move off of some of the MVP candidates.
But that is, no. So the MVP is done. That's a different conversation. SGA is going to be the MVP. Here's the question I'm asking you.
Tell me.
If I said you can have any one active player right now on your team to make this year's playoff run, you could just pick any player who's currently playing right now and say, I want that guy on my team to try and win a championship with. Would your first pick be LeBron?
No. I'm still going SGA.
The point that she's sitting there thinking about it and that we can have a discussion is what Perk's point is that, believe it or not, it's a discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely a discussion.
It irritates me how much of the country at large is ignoring the Thunder, who are 50-11 and have the best defense in the league by a country mile, and Shea is one of the best defensive players at the point guard position in the league. and is averaging 34 points or something and is doing it incredibly efficiently and does it at both ends, I can't.
He's the best player, is what you're saying.
I just cannot accept people not acknowledging how good Shea has been. And so therefore, I cannot agree with Perk. However, he has a point. It's not a ridiculous position.
Okay, so there's that. So we've got KD in the show today. We've got LeBron in the show today. Who are we missing? Show me Steph Curry from last night. Monica was there at the Garden. Windy was there at the Garden. And most importantly, Steph was there at the Garden. He was 11-1 all time at MSG. And how about him cutting early here, Monica?
I mean, the ball movement throughout this ball game and the way that this group is playing with Jimmy Butler, like, ooh, it's a thing.
Here's ball movement. Show me this.
He was telling somebody, don't talk to me. Whoever was talking to him, stop it.
Curry, all smiles. Spike trying to get into it. How about this? How about Windy? How about a little mid-range game for Steph in the third?
So his movement with and without the ball is elite. Everybody talks about his great shooting. His movement off the ball and with the ball is at the top of the list.
He had 14 in the third.
What I'm talking about. Movement off the ball.
That was crazy.
There he is in the fourth. That's literally only a good shot for him in the history of the sport. And now we got a little defense. We're turning it into offense. Steph then saying, night.
Happy to throw the ball.
That was it.
Night to the Knicks, 28 points plus 7 boards, 9 assists. Warriors win 114-102. And with the win, the Warriors elevate themselves out of the play-in for the moment into the 6th seed. Our analytics give them a 62% chance to finish above the play-in. Remember, the Lakers were the 7 seed on January 14th. Now they're the 2 seed. The Butler bump, as our friend Alan likes to call it, has moved the Warriors up, or they may get. So, Wendy, you were making a point this morning. We could be setting up for an epic month of May.
So, look, I spent some time last week in L.A. with the Lakers. I spent some time yesterday with the Warriors here in New York. And I'm hearing the same things from both of them. They're both talking with this incredible excitement about how their teams are morphing. And I'm watching how Steph has been totally animated. He's like second league in scoring in the last month based on playing with Jimmy Butler. Looking at LeBron playing with Luka. Player of the month, okay? The Warriors, I know Draymond said it. He wasn't messing around. I'm not sure I agree with him. They're going to win the title. There's a reason. They're changing the way they play because of Jimmy Butler. Like Steve Kerr was saying this last night. For a decade, Steph and Draymond make terrible turnovers. It's like their bad habit. Jimmy doesn't. Jimmy takes care of the ball. So guess what? Now Steph and Draymond are starting to take care of the ball. Jimmy defends. Now Steph and Draymond, the rest of the team, are starting to defend better. They are feeling good about themselves. They play over there in Brooklyn on Thursday. Then they play 7 in a row at home. They are positioned to go shooting up the stats. The team in front of them, the Rockets, are coming backwards. They're looking, I mean, I know there's teams right behind them. They're looking ahead of them. And right now, they're on the same side of the bracket as the Lakers. That's a potential second-round matchup. Both of them feeling good about themselves. Untouchable to 50-win teams already in Cleveland and Oklahoma City. And I have not even mentioned the fact that the Celtics are probably my favorite to repeat. We are headed for a potentially amazing spring. And anybody who says that there's something wrong with the NBA or they don't like what's going on, you're not paying attention. Because what we've got right now is potentially a historic and incredibly interesting spring playoff.
That's what you call a mic drop, Greeny.
Right.
That is.
But let's focus. I agree with what you're saying, but let's focus for a minute here on the Warriors.
Okay.
I think that the LeBron Luka of it all has sort of taken a little bit of the attention away from just how well the Warriors have been playing since they made their trade, right? I mean, Jimmy Butler isn't the name that Luka is in this moment, and they're not playing in Los Angeles and all the rest of that. But the Warriors have been pretty much unbeatable with the two of them in the line. They lost that ridiculous game Saturday night to the Sixers, but Jimmy didn't play. When he's on the floor, what is this? You just saw him up close last night. What are they capable of?
There's an energy there that is undeniable, and I think similar to what Luka is experiencing, having LeBron James now as a running mate. Jimmy has always been the centerpiece. Playoff Jimmy has had to put the team on his shoulders and make it happen. And if you're going to get playoff Jimmy in the last 28 games after All-Star break, the timing is perfect. But he now has the opportunity to operate with more space, more room. He's the guy getting to the free throw line, courtesy of the way that the Warriors already play. Throughout the year, earlier in the season, I had a bunch of Warriors games, and one of the things was getting that group to play with the confidence of the early season stretch when they jumped out to like 12-3 or whatever crazy thing it was. That confidence has kind of returned, and I've had at least 5 Warrior games earlier in the season, and I think that is the through line. And obviously, you got Draymond and Steph, who are the vets, but getting the rest of those guys to play with that kind of confidence, like that supporting cast, there's more there than maybe we thought.
Stephen A. was also in here, made the point the other day that Butler, because Jimmy Butler draws fouls about as effectively as anybody, that the unintended consequence of that is that Steph gets a little rest, too. At his age, with as much, running around as he does all the time, it gives him a little breather every now and again on the floor. Sort of an interesting little point.
And I think the way Steph plays helps Jimmy.
That's 100%.
Like, it's not just a one-way street, it's a two-way street. Jimmy, talking about listening to Jimmy the way he's talking about it, it's lifting up his game. Really, the trade deadline, these two things happening and animating these two teams is really one of the more fascinating things we've seen happen mid-season in the NBA, really in the last decade.
It really is. Here we are. It is a fascinating morning in 2014 as we are talking about LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant.